Hey guys, and welcome to the Alabama Saltwater Fishing Report presented by Angelo Depaola, the Coastal Connection with eXp Realty. The first podcast to bring you the local inshore, offshore, and onshore fishing report, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. All right, guys, I am your host, Butch, Thierry, here again this week. And before we jump into the report, we got a really cool opportunity for you. We have partnered with AFCO, and they are offering all of our listeners a free sun protection mask with any purchase of AFCO products. They make a ton of great products for all types of anglers. All you have to do to get the coupon code is text the word fishing to 314-665-1767. Again, just text the word fishing to 314-665-1767 to subscribe to our email list, and we'll send you the promo code via email. All right, guys, we have a great Alabama saltwater fishing report lined up for you this week. But first, let's take a few minutes to check out a few of this week's great sponsors. This week's Alabama saltwater fishing report is brought to you by Sportsman's Marine. Sportsman's Marine has an extensive tackle selection of anything that local anglers need for saltwater and freshwater fishing, as well as boating accessories. They have the largest selection of the slick lure in Mobile and Baldwin County. They have AFCO, pelagic, and saltwater fanatics apparel along with other local brands. Go check out their Edgewater, Wellcraft, and Vexus lines of boats. They offer engine services with 5-star Yamaha and Mercury mechanics. Also, if you're looking for a street legal electric golf cart, go check out their Atric golf carts. Sportsman's Marine on Highway 98, and they also have a downtown location next to Mr. Jean's Beans in Fairhope, Alabama. And also brought to you by Hilton's Offshore Charts. The days of heading out and blindly looking for good fishing areas are pretty much over. Don't waste time and money on fuel searching for fish. You need the most recent, highest resolution images to not only know where to go, but where not to go. The knowledge provided by today's technology is critical when planning an offshore fishing trip. Make the choice that professional captains all over the Gulf make and choose Hilton's Real-Time Navigator. The easy-to-use interface and excellent customer service will have you on the fish every time you go. Check them out at hiltonsoffshore.com. All right, guys, welcome back to the Alabama Saltwater Fishing Report. I am your host, Butch Thierry, and I am joined today with co-host Captain Richard Rutland with Cold-Blooded Fishing. What you say, Cap?
Woo, man. Sounds like we're both dodging thunder and rain right now. It's cracking outside my house, and I know we've been having some trouble with the internet staying up here, man. But I'm doing good, man. I've kind of had a light guide schedule this week, so I've been catching up here in my rod room, doing some repairs to a bunch of rods, and got a few new builds on the list and whatnot. So I think tomorrow I'm gonna go do some maintenance on the boat. You know, just doing what God's doing. We're not fishing.
That's right. No doubt, man. Yeah, this weather's been crazy. Yesterday, we got a heck of a storm come through yesterday afternoon, and it's been interesting for sure. I can't imagine trying to be on the water every day right now. I'm sure you guys have had your hands full.
It's been kind of a weird year because it's like it seemed like for I don't know, like the past month and a half, it rains every morning, which is strange. It's been beautiful in the afternoons. Now we're kind of getting into the opposite of that. It's been pretty in the mornings and then raining cats and dogs, and we've had these thunderstorms that are coming out of the north the past couple of days. And you know as well as I do, man, when they come out of the north like this, man, they are the real deal. I don't know what it is about those ones that come out of the north in the summertime. When it does that, you better take cover somewhere.
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly for sure. It's been windy, and like you say, right now, every time the lightning pops, I can see it popping over there across the water, and I can hear my headphones crackling. So hopefully, I don't get too hot ears over here.
Well, sounds like we got a good show lined up. Got some good contributors, and we'll talk to old Blakely. About Blakely Ellis about the CCA auction coming up for his event down at the beach there. That ought to be pretty interesting. I'm not going to be able to make it. Wish I was, because man, it looks like they got some goodies. He sent us a couple of snapshots of some cool stuff, some guns and some trips and all kinds of cool stuff. I think we saw. I had an item I was eyeballing that I might buy for you. Louis Vuitton little wallet bag there. Yeah.
Yeah, just gotta find something to put in that thing.
Figure we can rig up like a little fanny pack for you, you know.
Hey, fanny packs they're very stylish, and they're also very utility. You know, do a lot of things with those.
We could scare up some slick lures for you to put in there, huh?
My pocketbook.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, man, you're right. They have a big event over there at the wharf. Let's go see what Blakely has to say about their event this weekend. So tell us what you got going on over there this Saturday, Blakely.
We've got our 22nd annual Lower Alabama chapter beach party at the wharf. And so this is my old chapter, my hometown, and chapter I used to volunteer with before I started working with CCA. And it's a fun party. It's the only one we do on a Saturday night. It's got a full open bar, lots of good food, and it's it's usually one of the more fun events that we have, and people have a good time and kind of let loose on the weekend schedule. You know what I mean?
Very nice, man. So that's August 20th, 6 from 6 to 9:30. It's going to
Mm-hmm.
be a live auction, and it's going to
Yep.
be, you can be in person or you can be online, correct?
Yeah, so we'll have the live auction with our world famous, actually not famous, he's a world record live auctioneer, Bert. He's pretty awesome, and so looking forward to that. And then the silent auction, yeah, we'll have that in person with the online bidding. But if you can't make it in person, you can check out the silent auction stuff and bid on it that way. But anybody that's used to just getting a text message from us when an auction starts and checking it out, you won't be receiving one of those if you don't go to this page and text to get that link back, because it's a separate auction and event than the ones that you normally get. So don't want anybody to be asleep at the wheel and say what happened. So you got to do the full the text code deal for this event.
Roger
That's
that.
cool. You wanna tell us, maybe give us a little preview to some of the items you're gonna have? I'm sure you got some trip packages and whatnot.
Yeah.
Together.
I've discussed a few trips with some folks, and one of them's on the line today, Captain Richard.
Nice.
Yeah. So before I forget, though, that you can text LA 2022 to the number 76278 to get that link to this specific event, and you can go in and get squared away so you can view the auction items. But yeah, we've got a couple of awesome trips. One of them is going to be a full day offshore trip with Captain Richard Rutland on his beautiful Ocean Master, right, Richard? 31
Correct.
Ocean Master?
Correct.
Yeah. So, and that's going to be an offshore full day trip, 12 hours, and going to be doing some deep dropping, maybe a little trolling, depending on what the bite's like. Maybe even look at trying to grab a swordfish or two, and that's going to be with the man, the legend himself, Captain Richard.
Poseidon.
That's right. Hey, that's a heck of an bargain there. That'd be a fun fun ticket item.
I had to offer him a couple of incentives to get him to pick some folks up from the Fort Morgan boat ramp if they wanted to. So you can either run with him out of Dauphin Island, or he can pick you up at Fort Morgan. But that's going to be a pretty neat trip. We're excited about offering up, and I told Richard I'm gonna do a better job of helping to spread the word on his offshore game. And I mean, I heard it from himself that on his last podcast with the Speckled Truth that he said the offshore stuff was where his roots were when he was growing up, and I didn't even realize that. And I've spent a lot of time with the guy, and so figured that'd be a good reminder and a good opportunity to get some folks out on the water and go after some offshore fish with you.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
Blakely, you weren't supposed to tell Butch I'm cheating on him with the Speckled Truth, okay?
That's funny.
Yeah. That was Captain Dr. Richard Rutland.
Yeah,
that's right. No, that's
I texted
great.
Richard when I was listening to it. I said, only a captain like you would put captain before doctor in their name if they were trying to set up a title. But yeah, so that's going to be in the live auction. We're going to have our trips to Cabo, Red Rum. That's been an awesome trip for us. Includes 2 days of offshore fishing, 4 nights. Starts out with 6 people, but you can bump that up to 8 or even 10 people based on the accommodations. Get a larger boat, and that trip, hands down, has been the best trip that I've ever really offered for stuff out of the U.S. And the fishing there has been pretty incredible, and they're a great group to work with. We're going to have Chandelier Island day trip with Captain Kyle Johnson running out of Mississippi. So he's got that 28 foot blue wave, and it's a really sweet setup he's got. And I don't know that there's a better way to get to do Chandelier Island than this system he's got, with leaving it safe light in the morning, getting out there and fishing with him all day, and then heading back before the sun goes down. And the part that a lot of people overlook is, when you go to Chandelier, if you go on one of the motherships, they have a map that I don't know when it was updated, but they kind of have I don't even think they use dry erase markers on the big map to tell you where to fish. I think it was written in permanent Sharpie ink, so that you're kind of on your own when you do the DIY. But with this, You're going out with Captain Kyle, who's been, fishing out there a lot, knows where the fish are, covering a lot of water because the Chandler Islands are huge. They're huge. And so instead of wasting a lot of time trying to find the fish, you can go with him and y'all can fish out of the boat. You can go wade fishing. It's just hands down the best way, I think, to try to experience Chandelier. And then let's see, we're going to have some other like international trips. We've got maybe a cast and blast down to Argentina, possibly a fly fishing only deal down to Patagonia. We've got some really nice artwork from one of our favorite artists from Florida. Her name is Anastasia Music, and she's actually from Ukraine. She married a guy from Mississippi, but she's got some incredible art pieces that I know will do really well. Let's see here. Got some pretty sweet firearms from Campbell Sporting Goods up in Robertsdale. But yeah, one of the we're going to auction off it's a bullpup Kel-Tec 12 gauge shotgun, and it holds 12 shells plus one. So it's got 2 barrels side by side, and it's pretty sweet, man. It's really short and stubby, and it if you're trying to draw one up for, I don't know, one of those video games like it looks like something you'd see out of one of those
Modern Warfare,
Call of Duty. Yeah, exactly. So that'll be one option, and then we have some cool auction items. I mean, some cool raffle items, and including some stuff for the ladies out there. We've got a little Louis Vuitton little wallet that'll be a 52 card deck. We'll have a couple Glock pistols. We're gonna have some games. I've got like a little roulette, kind of Wheel of Fortune wheel that'll spin around. So we're gonna have some different things that we'll mix it up a little bit this year for this event. Also, don't want to forget to talk about some of the silent auction stuff. I guess it goes without saying that we're gonna have fishing stuff. I went down to ICAST and worked with all our folks down there, and once I figured out what kind of availability we had with Iowa, I went ahead and went full COVID toilet paper shopping with them, and I loaded up. So we've got tons and tons of Daiwa spinning reels. We're in good shape on all our TFO products. We've got cool things like the Williams Knife Company. I don't know if you're familiar with them or not, but they make some really custom knives. So I got some really nice fillet knives, oyster knife, along with some other cool trips that tie back to Captain Richard. We're going to be offering up for the first time some of the research trips to do fish tagging with Captain Richard through South Alabama. These will be, I don't know if these will be in the live auction or the silent auction yet, but we're going to do, one of them will be one of the flounder tagging trips with Richard and Dylan, and that'll be for 2 people. I will be sitting on the sidelines to make room for that second person. So it'll be Captain Richard and then Dylan from South Alabama plus two people tagging flounder, and then the other one will be one of the bull red tagging trips, and it'll be for 2 people also, and that will be to deploy some of the acoustic tags that we purchased last year for this bull red study, and so it'll be a neat way for anybody that's ever wanted to A, fish with Richard, or B, see how this whole research process has how it works and all that. It's going to be really neat. So we're excited about offering up some stuff like that we've never done before.
Those are special trips, in my opinion. Getting to go and see us. I mean, we're going to perform a surgery on a fish and let it go. It's really neat. I do have an idea, Blakely, so you don't have to sit on the sidelines. I got the tower now. We'll just put you in the tower, but you're not allowed to come down. You know, you have to stay up there all day.
Rain or shine.
You could be our videographer. You know, you can bring your selfie stick and and wave it around and video me and Dylan. Yeah, speaking of flounder tagging, I got the flounder pounder belt. I'm looking at it right here in the in my rod room here or whatever. Dylan, I know Dylan thinks he's coming for me.
He said he's coming for you. That's what he said.
He ain't gonna get it. He doesn't even have a chance, man. Doesn't even have a chance. Might as well just go ahead and order another one and put my name on it, man. I'm gonna whoop his butt.
Time will tell.
Well, Captain, you're the boss. I might take you up on that. So
that's right.
Or maybe I have to take one of those boat inflatable rafts and just drag me around the back of it.
I wouldn't be bad either.
We're gonna have a lot of that stuff too. The boat inflatable docks and chairs, and I'm gonna be running those air pumps for a couple of days, getting all that stuff blown up.
Very cool. Well, if folks want to get tickets to that in-person banquet there at the wharf, what's the best way to get tickets?
So you can go, you can do that same text option, and it'll bounce you back the link for the auction page, which is also how you can purchase the tickets online. They're $90 for a single. That includes a CCA membership, or $130 for a couple. Also includes the membership, but that's for we're doing a full shrimp boil. We're going to have jambalaya, a full open bar. So it's a pretty cheap date to get out on the town and have a good time. And so and it's at the wharf on Saturday night, August 20th. And you can also go to our website, ccaalabama.org/events, and that'll bring you up at the page to basically it's going to get you to the same spot either way.
Sweet. One more thing before we let you go out of here. You want to give us any updates on how the Star Tournament's going? Or I know we're about to wrap that up here pretty soon.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, we've got a couple more weeks. That the tournament's going to end on Labor Day Monday at 5:00 p.m. And so we've got 3 weeks left or so. Still only the 2 fish have been caught. July, we didn't have any fish caught. Here we are, plowing our way through August, halfway through August without any fish being caught. So there's still 28 fish swimming around. And I got word from Nautic Star that the boat has finished production, and it's sitting there in Mississippi waiting to get brought down here to the coast. So it'll be here soon. Let's see. And then, the closer we get to the end, I know there's going to be a lot of folks that either live out of town or couldn't fish it or didn't think they would have a chance at it. But just a reminder that it's going to convert to a giveaway for all the registered participants. And so I think you'll see we were at around 420 or so registered participants about a week ago. So you can do the math on what that would look like. So, the closer we get to it, I'm sure there's going to be people jumping on, just trying to take a stab at that chance at the boat. But it'll be there. It'll be there waiting as long as nobody catches one. And we're not going to be sandbagging it. If there is a winner, if we get news of a fish being caught, I'm not going to be sandbagging, sitting on it, trying to get people to sign up. We'll be spreading that word loud and clear. But go ahead and get it taken care of now, because the closer we get to it, it'll be a little bit more hectic, and don't want anybody to have any snags on that side of it.
No doubt. Go ahead and get registered and get that over with. Well, Blakely, thanks for letting us know what's going on, and we appreciate you being a sponsor and bringing this to everybody for free. So you guys go out and support Blakely at CCA Alabama, man. We appreciate you all that you do for us.
Yep, you bet, guys. Thank y'all.
All right, Captain Richard, let's head on down and get our first report of the day. Let's see what Tanner Dees has been up to with Dauphin Island fishing. What you say, Cap? Welcome back to the show.
What's up, you whole bunch of pretty girls? Thanks for having me back, Butch. Nice to see you and hear from you, Captain Richard.
Always,
You know what it is.
Absolutely.
I'm hearing from you boys, talking some fishing. How y'all doing this week?
Doing good, man. Just
Doing
the same
good.
as you, it sounds like, dodging storms and trying to get out there. What you been up to?
Man, I've been doing a little moving. I'm in between right now, but when I'm not doing that, I've been doing some fishing. Got out there offshore a little bit recently and did some land-based fishing. Made a few trips of that down at the island and over there in the Gulf Shores area. So I've been hard at it, fishing with the boys and with myself, doing what we can to put some fish on the land or on the deck.
Awesome, man. Well, let's talk about land fishing if we can first. What have you guys been targeting and what's been popping off?
Man, I'll tell you, since I met Dylan around, 9 months ago or so, of course, he's put the flounder bug in my ear. And past few months, we've really been going hard at them since it's gotten a little warmer, and that speckled trout bite's been a little finickier for us on land. It hadn't been nearly as good since it got pretty warm. So flounder has kind of been the main target species, and we've been putting some damage on them, man. It's been a few good trips, and me and Dylan and Swigs and my buddy Nick Eubanks have all been going after them, and it's been fun, man. They've been pretty active.
Are you guys focusing in on anything particular, like rocks, jetties? Are you looking for marsh, mud bottom? What are you looking for whenever you're targeting the flounder, and what are you throwing for them mostly?
Yeah, man, absolutely. We have been fishing a lot of rocks. I went over to the Gulf Shores area, and we fished a lot of rocks over there. And over here, I've been fishing, some on the east end jetties and other spots that are just little public parks around the neighborhoods of the island, and kind of just bouncing Fishbites, dirty boxers, and butt kickers up and down the walls, and trying to find some flounders, and been using some Z-Man fishing products as well, the jerk shads, just looking for flounder. And we've even found some up in the grassland, like you mentioned, on a higher tide. been pretty good. I guess we started back, I guess I was the 7th or 8th there. We made a trip over here, and we went after them, and we caught, I think it was 4 or 5. They were all over 17, 18 inches. None of them quite made it to 19, but caught 4 or 5 right there on the land, and a 20-inch trout to start the day. Nick Eubanks walked away with a trout. Old Salty Swigs pulled up a nice flounder, and I pulled up 1 or 2. I think Dylan got himself 1 as well. He's always whispering to him, so that was really cool, man. Something about that dirty boxer, that curly tail, and the Fishbite stink. Those flounder really like it. I know it's become a really popular bait past year or so, and I've definitely had a lot of results with it. It's been a good bait for me, and Dylan enjoys it as well.
Those come in different colors, right? Any particular color?
They do. Yeah, they do come in different colors. I like the white knuckle color and the tap out color. They've also got a new penny color as well that I really like. Those 3 are probably my main staple as far as throwing for flounder. One's a real chartreuse, one's pearl white. You got the new penny as well. They got a hot pink one too. It's hard to beat as well. Their lures, man, over at Fishbites are just good stuff for those flounder. It's a mean lure.
I would venture to say right now, as far as like what you said about, just the various public places there are to fish by land right now, you could just about go anywhere and catch a flounder at each one of these places. I would think obviously some of them are going to be better than others depending on your conditions, water quality, water movement, bottom type, tide, all that kind of stuff.
That was my next question is, have you guys been noticing anything on the incoming or outgoing, or is it just movement in general?
Movement in general is definitely key. Just like Richard mentioned there, I have noticed with a lot of it being land-based that a higher tide is better. Those flounder get pushed up into some of the grass that's there that you can access on the land, and pushes up into those broken down docks or some of the rock lines that are typically dry. We've had some abnormal highs in the past week, and some of those flounder have been sitting in, less than 2 to 1 foot of water right there on the grass line or on top of some rocks. And Richard, man, you're exactly right. Right now it's really hard to get down here, target a flounder, and not walk away with at least 1.
Yeah.
I mean, I've come down and, I've at least caught a 12 or a 13 incher. You know what I'm saying? There's no skunk trips happening on the land-based trips. We made 3 or 4 in the past week, and one of those was solo. And I even hit some spots that we had been working pretty heavily, and I still got on some good bites. And I landed a 17 and a 13 and missed 1 more. So the fish are there, man. It's just about getting out here and getting after them. The land-based bite is hot for flounder, just like you're saying. It's coming up on their time of year, is it not, Richard? I think you know a little bit more about that than me, but prime time's on the way.
Yeah, that's what I would say is generally about September, October, first part of November, kind of right there, just inside the closure, is what I would consider, some of just the most unbelievable flounder fishing you can do around here is going to be right there in that September, October time frame. But man, I tell you, it's just been to me, it's been an unbelievable year just in general. Last year and this year, I've already had probably 6 or 7 trips this year where we've actually gone out and got a boat limit of flounder. You know what I mean? Like had to go through and
That's incredible.
I mean, had to go through and count all the fish, to make sure we weren't keeping too many, which that was not the case, and I was kind of running that by Capt Bobby, and I were comparing notes one day, and I was telling about my flounder. He's like, "Yeah, Lee, I can't believe that," and I was like, "Man, it's like I'm not sure how I feel about it." And he's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Man, I mean, should I be keeping this many? Should I be letting people keep a full limit? I mean, it's only 5 per person, but when you got 4 people on the boat and you're throwing, killing 20 fish," he's like, well, I'll tell you this. He's like, nobody's done more for it than you have around here. You know what I mean? To kind of get it back to where it is, by, going to meetings and talking about limits and helping these scientists, they're talking about Dylan and Dr. Sean and everybody kind of put this puzzle together with the flounder, and then boom, we're seeing it bounce back. Like I said, I'm not so sure. Anyway, Captain Bobby made me feel a lot better about it. He's like, nobody's done more for it than you have, so you might as well go ahead and take advantage of it, and he's like, you're only getting 5 per person, so it's not like you're like getting 100,
yeah, man, you ain't out there whacking them.
Yeah, like the giggers used to do and stuff back before they had trip limits and whatnot. You always hear the giggers, man, oh yeah, we got 100 last night. Yep, 100 fish night. Yep, we got them.
Got to be great for that species, huh?
Yeah.
Yep.
Golly.
But I definitely agree with both of you and Captain Bobby, but this may end up being one of those things where, just like the speckled trout happened, right? You guys both, most of you guys that can make an impact on this kind of fishery, maybe it's one of those things where you need to, if it continues on this route and the flounder continue to be this plentiful, maybe it's one of those things where you need to, kind of self-regulate a little bit, 10 is plenty, kind of one of those things. So
yeah,
I know I do
think about.
I definitely do that with like cobia and stuff. Sure. Out on cobia, you start whacking them. It's like, man, you really don't need more than just a couple. You know what I mean? It's
a lot of meat.
Yeah, and we've seen that species in trouble before, where it was almost non-existent for several years, and then all of a sudden this year, boom, they're back. So it's like, what do? You go kill them all or practice conservation? Not real sure what to do there, but always.
Yeah. I think that's one thing about the conservation-minded people in our area is you got a lot of people that go on these fish kills and they're just trying to fill the box or fill the freezer or maybe even just have a picture of a bloody deck. I really don't know. But 9 times out of 10, you know what I'm saying? You don't need more than 2 cobia. You don't need more than 10 flounder. You don't have to fill out your limits in order to get what you need. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of people forget to steward the resource. And you just talk about how much you do for the fishery, with Trout and Captain Bobby and Dr. D and everybody, studying these fish and how many fish you guys have released and all the data that you've been a part of accruing. And, you more than anybody want to see that fishery be stewarded in a positive way. You want to pass it down from generations to generations. 5 years from now, you want to see the flounder bite still getting better. You want to see people still catching nice flounder. And that's just what it's all about, man. If we all realize that in the area, we all steward it and care about it, the resource will continue to provide. We'll still be putting 5 flounder in the box any day we want to. If we go out there and we don't keep 30 or go gig 100 with our family and cousins because we can't. I mean, it just doesn't have to happen that way.
Yep, that's right.
No doubt.
Tanner, make sure you release everything over 20 though, okay, bro?
That's right. You got to let all the big girls go.
That's right. Well, what else you been up to, man? I know you got offshore a little bit. What else you been doing?
Man, I got offshore a little bit. I went out with Captain Spencer over there on the DI Reef Monster a time or two. We got out on some good snappers and caught some groupers, man. Got an old fire truck, big, nice size red grouper and beautiful rock hind recently, and had a real good time on Spencer's boat. We were dropping live croakers and just putting it on the bottom, laying it down. 3 seconds later, reeling up, and there was something on it. It was some incredible trips we had out there, and it was a good time on the DI Reef Monster. And then I got to go do a personal favorite thing. Me and Richard were kind of talking about it in the interlude there. I got to go on a slow pitch jigging trip with Captain Collier and Captain Bo Strange from Get Tight Fishing over there. He runs the fishing public, and we went out and just did a slow pitch jigging day. There were some greenbacks on the boat, but the only greenback that I put on the bottom turned into a 10-foot sandbar shark that ended up breaking a rod. So we left the live bait alone after that and jigged away, much like I did with you that day, Richard, man. It was nothing but metal jigs, big grouper, and a couple snapper that decided to come and play, BBs and porgies. It was really fun, man. And there's just something about getting out there and doing it on that slow pitch that is just so fun.
Yep, it is. I'm with you. I like the jigging. I like my live bait too now. I'm not really. I always tell people, well, I'm into feeding them whatever they want. You know what I mean? If they want live bait, I'm gonna send. Yeah, they want live bait, I'm gonna send the live bait on down. But if they'll eat a jig or they're gonna eat plastic or something like that, that's I'm all in on that. That's my jam, man. I love catching stuff. I just like tricking fish with plastic or metal or whatever. I just think that's fun.
Right.
Yeah,
it's so cool. I mean, if you're spending all that money to get out there and they want to eat live baits, then of course you're going to drop live baits down and you're going to put meat in the box and you got to do what you got to do. But just like you said, there's nothing more fun than tricking that fish. There you are, 250, 280 feet down, jigging up a 200 gram piece of metal. And all of a sudden it turns into a 35-inch scamp grouper. I mean, that's hard to beat.
Yep, that's pretty epic, man. So whenever you're doing this slow pitch, just kind of walk us through your strategy there. So you're dropping it all the way down to the bottom. You mentioned letting it lay right on the bottom, but you were getting kind of bit before that. Like, are you kind of working it up, 10 or 15 feet and then letting it flutter down and then sit? What's your method to your madness there?
Man, I would say that I'm on the beginner stages of the slow pitching stuff. What I've learned from Captain Collier and Salty Swigs and other people that have taught me, and, YouTube around me and stuff like that, is really, you're dropping it all down, what type of jig you're dropping, whether it's a leaf jig or a fluttered jig or one of the long, skinny bladed jigs, is all kind of depending on current. On this trip where we went jigging, I started my day with like some 200 gram, 180 gram leaf jigs, which is, real small, probably mimics like a 4-inch bait fish, kind of wide, and it flutters down in a real dead bait motion. And, the current wasn't bad. So you're able to use these flutter jigs that allow for a little more action down there on the bottom. But once the current picked up, we had to switch to the bladed jigs that allows you to fall down to the bottom a little faster, keeps the scope out of your line, keeps multiple lines from being on the boat, getting tangled up and scoping into each other or whatever happens down there to make those tangles happen. And so you kind of have to be conscious of the current and what size jig you're using. We were in around 220 feet, 250 feet of water all day. And I think the biggest size jig that we used was 250 grams. And that was, slightly excessive. Probably could have used a 200 bladed jig instead of the 250. But that was just what I was throwing at the time. And, you kind of set for the current. If you see that it's sweeping real hard one way, you want to drop your jig on the opposite of that so that it scopes into you and comes into you. And once you're down there and jigging it, you kind of want it to hit the bottom. And from what I've kind of learned is in the first probably 5 jigs or so, once you're hitting the bottom or as it's coming to the bottom, Collier and Captain Bo were saying that a lot of times those fish are watching it come down. So as soon as it gets there, they get on it. And a lot of times you'll get a fish, right there as soon as you get bottom in your first 5 jigs. It'll hit bottom, you'll jig it up, and you'll let it flutter back down and hit bottom again. And you'll go to jig and lift on that rod, and it just loads up. And it's like a trout rod. It's so small, it loads up on those big fish. And the next thing you know, all the work goes into the reel. The rod does fight the fish some, but that reel really cranks those fish up. And you do change, up and down in the depth to figure out where those fish are. But for me, in the past few experiences that I've had out there, those grouper are laying on the bottom. The biggest one that I caught, I got hit on the jig 4 or 5 times, and I was like, geez, something is nailing it. And so I just left it on the bottom, and I went to pick it up, and there he was. And when I got him to the boat, the daggum thing was hanging out of his gill plates. He tried to swallow it.
Wow.
That's cool. I kind of relate with that a little bit too about hitting the bottom. I don't know what it is about hitting the bottom. Even when you're live bait fishing for grouper,
I think it gives that plume of sand, and kind of attracts
it gives them something to hone in on. And I know, like when I've been out jigging before, like, kind of doing, I don't really own any, like what we'll call slow pitch jigs, like these fancy things that Tanner's using. I'm like a diamond jig. I'm a diamond jig kind of guy,
Well, it sucks when you go out there and you lose all them fancy ones. It costs a pretty penny.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, I like my $6 diamond jigs. So anyway, but if I swear I could be sitting there bouncing that thing off the bottom for a little while and not getting a bite, and I'll just reel it up 20 or 30 feet off the bottom and then whoop, send it right back down, hits the bottom, you jig it a couple of times and boom, you get a bite, So
that's right.
And the same thing with deep dropping, like when you're running your electrics, when you're fishing with that 3 or 5 pounds worth of weight, man, wind it up and drop it down. And I mean, like as soon as it hits the bottom, you better be clicked in gear and ready to do something.
I agree.
I would have to think that whenever, a fish is down there, especially if they're hugging on the bottom like a grouper typically does, I would have to assume that even that small jig sounds like a freaking cannonball hitting the bottom. You would have to think.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Got to, man. It's got to. And I would imagine any disturbance on the bottom is going to get those fish fired up to want to figure out what the hell is going on in their area, what's moving the water, what's causing that vibration, or what is that shiny thing I see fluttering down to me. I mean, they're so far deep. I'm sure they're curious about whatever comes across.
Gotta be.
I'm with you. That slow pitching stuff is or just jigging those fish in general down there is
so cool.
It is. It's a lot of fun. And you're kind of talking about like you got sharked whenever you drop the live bait down there. That rarely seems like it happens when you're jig fishing. About the only shark you're going to get is one eating your fish that you're reeling up.
Which did happen.
Yeah. But like we were talking about kind of before we came on, started recording a little while ago, I got my eyes pinned on some slow pitch blanks to make a build or two for some of those for that style blank. I've never owned a true slow pitch rod, so that's gonna be neat to see. It should be a pretty versatile setup. You ought to be able to do a lot of different things with one of those rods.
Yeah, man, I agree. I just got a new one. I use Goofish rods, which is a real budget-friendly quality rod, super quality slow pitch jigging rod that's not going to break the bank. It's right there around 160, 180 bucks. And I just got a new Goofish rod, and it's not the acid wrap, so it doesn't have the spiral eyes, and it's just a casting, so like a bait casting rod, 6'6", rated for like 150 grams to 400 grams. And I was thinking while I was out there slow pitching, I was like, dude, if I got a bait caster reel for this thing, pretty decent size, I could go throw poppers with this or jig big heavy jig heads for flounder or whatever, even inshore using it or onshore. It's got to be a super versatile rod, super flexible. And I agree. You could probably do just about anything with it.
What size braid are you using whenever you're slow pitching?
I was out there with 30-pound braid, 40-pound or 60-pound leader, using the Goofish rod, tons of Johnny jigs. Johnny jigs is pretty much the only jigs that I use. I was using an accurate reel, 500 narrow. It's really nice reel, really cool setup. But you want the thinnest braid you can get,
right?
20 or 30 pounds. I know that you're offshore. People think you got to have that big setup, heavy gear. But the thicker your line is, the more it's going to catch the current and the more scope you're going to get in your line. So the thinnest and the best braid that you can get to do that is around 20 or 30 pounds to withstand the fish as well as cut through that water.
Very cool stuff, man. That's a great report. We always enjoy talking with you. If folks want to keep up with you on Instagram and Facebook, what's the best way to follow you?
Man, you guys check me out on Dauphin Island Fishing on Instagram. That's definitely the best way to get to me. But I'm also on Facebook at Tanner Dees, Deas. You can find me over there on the Fever page every now and again. I'm always interacting with Best Fishing Report on Instagram as well. You can see me, Captain Collier, Salty Swigs on YouTube. Just get after it. I'm probably somewhere popping up on social media, but Dauphin Island Fishing on Instagram is the best way to get to me and have a conversation with me. I'd love to talk onshore, inshore, or offshore fishing about the slow pitch stuff. Give you a little bit of information that I've got and have learned over time. And Butch, Capt, it's great talking to you guys. Thank you for having me on the show. Nothing like talking some fishing with some great friends. Can't wait to get up with y'all and get some lines tight, man. It'd be awesome to make that happen soon.
Amen, brother. Need to get after it soon. We appreciate you being on, man. We look forward to talking with you next time. All right, guys, that was a great report from Tanner Dees with Dauphin Island Fishing. You guys take a quick break and check out a few of this week's great sponsors. That segment was brought to you by KillerDock. As anglers, we put a lot of time, money, and passion into fishing, but most of us do not have a fish cleaning station that we are proud of. Many of us are suffering from dock dysfunction. A rod and table with rusty metal, this is just no good. But the dock enhancement that we've all been waiting for is finally here. KillerDock uses marine-grade aluminum to make fabulous fish cleaning tables and stunning canopies that will keep us out of the sun. KillerDock combines durability, function, and design to uniquely upgrade your entire dock experience. Visit KillerDock.com to see more. And also brought to you by Bucks Island. Bucks Island. They have new pontoon boats, bass boats, bow riders, and aluminum boats for sale. They provide boat service on all kinds of boats, even if they weren't purchased from Bucks. Visit them at 4500 Highway 77 in Southside, Alabama, or give them a call at 256-442-2588. All right, Cap, since we got you here, might as well go ahead and get the inshore report from you. What you think?
Oh man, I guess so.
Might as well make sense, right?
Oh man, fishing's been good. It's really the biggest hurdle everybody's been trying to jump over is weather lately has been quite a factor. I like to fish in the morning and be home in the evening.
Well, like we were talking about in the intro a little bit, it's been a little bit flip-flop. It's been so weird
Yep.
that like we're used to the afternoon thunderstorms, right? You get it, you
Yep.
trip in the morning, it's beautiful. You get it done, you come home, it rains while you're taking a nap, right?
That's right.
But
Yeah,
it's been totally different.
it
So yeah, y'all
has.
been having to battle with the morning thunderstorms now.
That's correct. But, as far as fishing goes, still kind of finding some fish in shallow water and finding some fish in deep water. I can usually kind of feel like I can figure it out within the first 2 or 3 stops in the morning, whether I need to stay shallow or if I need to roll on out into the bay and hit the gas platforms or getting some of that deep water around the bridge or down the Mississippi Sound on those, or some of those reefs on the backside of the island and whatnot. There's been, I've been running kind of like, it seems like I'm doing either one of two things. I'm either going and catching a zillion numbers or I'm going and catching, a moderate bag of quality fish lately. Up there around the river mouths, up the bay a little ways. Finding a lot of numbers of fish, a lot of shrimp jumping, bird schools, all over the place. There's even been some bull reds, some big schools of bull reds up there and whatnot. The bull red thing is interesting because after the fish kill, the big bull red kill that we had back in the spring, I was worried to death about the bull reds because I wasn't really seeing that many of them around. But sure enough, seeing a lot of good pictures on some social media that some folks are catching them and whatnot. And then I'm starting to see some good sign of them around and catching a handful. Up the bay, they're primarily feeding on pogies right now. So if you can find some pelicans or some of those bigger, greater terns, diving and whatnot in an area, I'll start to kind of look around and scan around for some slicks or some muds. You'll just kind of see like just out in the middle of nowhere. If it's in shallow enough water, 6 or 8 foot of water or less,
Just stirring everything up.
yeah, they'll mud up and you'll see. And then I can usually get around in there with my side scan and idle around and find them. But yeah, that's been really good. But of course, doing that type of fishing, you're going to run into some other things too. You're going to catch a lot of tops that way. You're going to catch a lot of jack crevalues that way and whatnot. So, but anyway, like I was just kind of getting at, it's just good to see that there's some bull reds around. That's really starting to, that's encouraging, especially since I've got like what Blakely was talking about. We've got some bull red acoustic tagging trips coming up with the Sea Lab. So I'm hoping that we can get all of our tags out for that. That's going to be real interesting to see what they do throughout the year. If they're kind of doing, they almost kind of think that the bull reds almost do like what the flounder do, is kind of go out in the Gulf in the wintertime and then come back in spring, early summer, back into the bay and whatnot. So it'll be interesting to see.
For sure, man. I can definitely remember early spring, like maybe even as early as February, but definitely March and April, hitting those close reefs, being on the deck whenever I was fishing a lot, catch those giant bull reds on those close reefs. So I definitely think they definitely go offshore and then come back. I don't know when and where, but
right.
Definitely remember doing a bunch of that. And you come up, of course, you have to let them go because,
Oh yeah.
State waters and federal waters, but
that's
yeah,
right.
some giants out there on snapper reefs. We catch a bunch of them in the spring too.
Mm-hmm. I would think for your quality size speckled trout right now, you'd want to have some good live bait. Croakers are real plentiful right now. Seems like most of the bait shops are starting to keep them. I've been hitting them hard with the Fishbites, doing like a chicken rig with a couple of brim hooks, when I need a few going, generally when I'm targeting my croakers from a bait, trying to get around some shells, some rocks, a little bit deeper water, 4 to 8 foot of water or so. And then getting around some of those deeper structures out in the bay, like around the gas platforms. There've been some quality fish out there, and around Dauphin Island Bridge has been real good for some quality. So that's where your quality is going to come from. Quantity is going to be more around the mouths of these rivers and whatnot. Like I said, kind of up the bay, fowl and dog, and even up near the causeway, seeing a lot of big numbers. And then down in the Mississippi Sound, the mouths of some of those, creeks and bayous and rivers and whatnot down there holding holding big numbers of fish, white trout, a lot of white trout, and in small undersized speckled trout with some keepers mixed in. But if you're wanting to take your kid fishing or just want the cork to go down, the voodoo shrimp under a popping cork is you really don't need to use bait when you get under around some of those bird schools and whatnot. You're almost wasting it, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it. And then of course we kind of covered flounder already with Dylan. Flounder fishing has just been unreal. Things I've been looking for flounder are a little bit of moving water. Doesn't have to be a lot. Just a little bit goes a long way with that. Oyster shells, dock pilings, rocks, things of that nature. And the fish have been, I don't know, well, I do know why, and I'll get into that in a second, but the fish have been real tight on the structure, like especially around like when I'm fishing docks and stuff. It seems like the flounder's face is sitting right on the piling. You know what I mean? If you don't put that jig right in there on the piling, you're not going to catch a fish. And I was kind of wondering why that is, because it's not always that way. You catch fish in the same areas out around the docks, kind of in, I'll say, open water. But I started paying attention when I was up there in some of these little areas, and you'll see like a little finger mullet will be, you'll know how you'll see like a school of finger mullet right on the piling, like they're almost eating whatever's on the piling and whatnot. Oh, yeah. That's what the flounder are doing, the same thing. You know what I mean? Like they're feeding on the finger mullet that are right on the pilings or on the rocks or whatever, and that's why they're right on top of it, and it really makes sense until I kind of just looked down there one day and I was like, oh, well, no wonder they're all right. That's there. Why right they're there. Yeah, right on the pilings, Heck, and I was doing the same thing when we got in from our overnight trip with Skipper. I was looking down there around the dock pilings at the Marina, and sure enough, all the little finger mullet were right on looked like their like they were swimming into the piling almost, trying to eat. So that's one thing to kind of focus on, in my opinion, is just getting real tight up on structure. You're going to get hung up a lot when you're doing that. And when you're able to fish shallower water, the lighter the jig head, the less I get hung up. I'll go to an 1/8 or a 1/16 ounce jig head to not get hung up quite as much, or go to a flutter hook or some type of weedless type, like almost like a beast, like the beast style hook that we use in the slick lure that owner makes. They make a great hook called a twist lock that works the same way, with a real lightweight where you can kind of tuck the hook in the plastic, and you got to slow way down with when you're working that jig around some of those structures. But that's where they live. That's where they are. Yeah, it's just part of it. Yeah, Tanner talked too about these big tide swings we've been having. We just got done with the full moon last weekend. So we're going to have big tides, and a great place to start with flounder is finding little drains wherever you're at. When you start to get around the marsh and stuff where you got a good fall and tide, man, those fish are going to be sitting there right there at those drains, waiting to ambush bait coming out of those marshes and whatnot. And it doesn't have to be much. You know what I mean? It can be like a drain big enough for a flounder to be sitting in, and he's going to be sitting there, so that's what's kind of fun. I really like using a spinner bait whenever I get around some of those marshy areas like that with those big tide movements, because the water gets real stirred up and get a little bit dirty, so throw on that Fishbites dirty boxer, same thing that Tanner was talking about. Plus you got that Colorado blade of a spinner bait beating around through there, and noise and flash. Yeah, they can pick up on it, and that can be real effective. Very cool. Yep. Next thing on my radar has been blackfish. It's just been an unreal year for blackfish as far as numbers goes. I know a lot of people have been kind of fussing about the size. I'm not real worried about the size. They're going to show up a bit before the summer's over. We're going to start seeing some big ones all show up, but man, they are just anywhere and everywhere. Super plentiful. They're not all in one spot. I've caught them all around the bay, all the way up from north of Gilliard Island, all the way behind Fort Morgan, down the Mississippi Sound. They're just anywhere and everywhere in between. Just lots of fish, man. It's been so cool to see so many of them. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, this is one of the better years I can think of as far as the numbers of fish go. One species I'm not worried about. Yeah, good. Is far as wondering how what kind of shape they were in. Were you telling me you saw one of our time hops or something like that?
Yeah, today I had a reminder or a notification or whatever. I checked my time hop on social media, and it was 1 year ago today was the day that you and I got out and caught a 27 and a 24 with you last year.
That was a cool day, man.
Golly, it was, man. We started out, we caught that one super early, like before daybreak, and it got slick as glass and hot. And we just kept working our way west and caught a bunch of fish, man. That was a good day.
Yep. That's always a fun way to finish out a day for me, is kind of buzz around a little bit on your way back to the dock and whatnot, and check some crab traps, and seen a lot of free swimmers this year.
Really?
I don't know if it's because I'm riding up in my tower that I got on my new contender this year, if that's why I'm seeing so many. I mean, I used to see plenty of them in my old boat,
right,
when I was down at deck level, but man, there just seems like there's been a bunch of them just floating around, no rhyme or reason to what they're doing or why they're going that way. They have been particularly spooky this year, I will say. I've had to lighten up everything. Can't just roll up to a crab trap anymore and throw a popping cork with a shrimp tied real short under it like I've been doing in the past. I've been having to resort a lot to a free line,
really?
Tossing a free line, something light. I don't know if they can feel you or if they've seen so many corks or what the heck it is, because there are a lot more people target them these days. But seems like trying to free line something at them has been gotten a lot more bites that way than throwing the old popping cork with the shrimp tied on kind of tight. Been throwing some other things at them too, throwing some finger mullet at them. They eat those good. Croakers. You don't have to just throw a shrimp out there at them. They're scavengers. They'll eat anything. I had an old timer get on the boat with me, 3 weeks, a month ago, something like that. He said crabs. He said, if you can find little crabs about 2 or 3 inches long, he said they will not turn a crab down. He said they almost go nuts over them. So, and I remember catching some that when I cleaned them in their stomach. I remember one of them one time, dude. He was a glut. This fish was a glutton because he must have had 50 like little 2-inch crabs. I mean, I don't know how he kind of got another one in his stomach. There was so many crabs in this fish, and he had caught him on a channel marker buoy. I remember that. And he just been sitting there plucking those crabs right off the buoy. Yeah,
that's
all
funny.
day long.
Yeah, one of those big ones we caught a year ago had about a 12 or a 13-inch Spanish mackerel in his belly.
Oh yeah.
Remember that?
I forgot. Yeah. They will eat anything. You don't have to just throw a live shrimp at them or a dead shrimp or whatever it is. It's kind of funny. You talk to the scientists and heck, as many as I've caught and cleaned, I've never found a shrimp in any of them,
Right,
they definitely don't turn one down, but it seems like I find more pogies in them than anything, like great big pogies, that they'll choke down. And it always seems to, paying attention to the bait, there usually are around big schools of pogies. You find like a 1 mile square area where there's just a lot of pogies around. There's usually a lot of blackfish around too. So
yep, that definitely makes sense. Well, man, talking about that contender with your new tower, I know you were a little bit worried about the tower whenever you got the boat. You weren't sure if you were, because I mean, you never had a T-top before, so much less going with a second station up top. What's it been like?
Really just the adjustment for me personally is just having to fish around it, and that was really the only thing I was like when I was saying I was worried about it. The only thing I was really worried about it was everybody
just casting.
Fishing.
Right.
Yeah, fishing around it. Contender did a really great job. A lot of thought process went into that because I've yet to hit my head on it one time. No matter how I get up off of the main deck, up onto the gunnels, up on the back deck, front deck, either way, I've yet to just bang my head on a rod holder or anything like that. So I think they did a real good job with that. But I was just really worried about people setting the hook and banging the tower, banging the top and whatnot. And everybody has been real. All of my clients have been really, surprisingly, has been very good. We haven't, I don't, I'm gonna knock on wood. I'm in here building rods today, but haven't had a broken rod yet as a result of it or anything like that. I like having the spreader lights for in the morning, be able to see everything, extra rod storage up there. And seems like after about 9 o'clock every morning, anytime I'm transiting at point A to point B, I jump up there and drive from up there because, like we're talking about these blackfish
swimmers. Yeah.
You just absolutely never know when or where you're going to see one. And so that's been a treat. And it's crazy too, man. The higher up you get like that, your range of vision gets so much broader. Like, where I could be running along and be like 200 or 300 yards away from a point or from in a fishing area I might fish, and I can see the slicks or the bait or all of that kind of moving over there. Whereas before you couldn't see any of it. You know what I mean? So it's broadening my view to everything, being able to see birds working from a lot farther away and whatnot. So,
yeah,
man, I've really enjoyed it. I think it's going to be one of those things I'm not going to be able to live without going forward.
Good. Yeah. I think, like you say, the higher vantage point. I mean, whenever I went up to Virginia Beach this past weekend, I was fishing with my buddy Luke. He's got that 26 Mako and he's got a full tower, as you're standing up on top of the T-top. And I was like, man, can you imagine if we were in the Escape right now? Like the amount of fish that we would see? Because we were seeing, 50 a day. Mm-hmm. You're strictly sight fishing, on the sides of channels and shoals, seeing, around, 50, sometimes more fish than that a day. It's like, man, if you were up another 40 feet, I can't even imagine.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. That'd be crazy.
Imagine. Well, man, that's a great report. Folks want to get up with you and book a trip. What's the best way to get in contact with you?
Of course, we're on Facebook and Instagram, but you can find my website at coldbloodedfishing.com or pick up the old telephone and call me or text me 251-459-5077. Butch, I enjoyed it, man. Thank you for having me on.
Great report, buddy. We appreciate it. All right, folks, that was a great inshore report by Captain Richard Rutland with Cold Blooded Fishing. You guys take a quick break and check out a few of this week's sponsors that bring you the podcast for free each week. That segment was brought to you by Fishbites. For over 20 years, Fishbites has been helping anglers all along the Gulf Coast and around the world put fish in the cooler. Ask for Fishbites or Fishbites Fight Club lures or visit fishbites.com. Fishbites, made in the USA. And also brought to you by Boaters List. Boaters List is your new reliable and fast resource designed to link everyone to everything on the water. If you own or run a boat, you know how difficult it can be to find the right company for the task at hand. Boaters List makes it easy to find the service that you are looking for. Locate anything from fuel docks to service repairs or rentals of large yachts, even down to paddle boards and all things in between. BoatersList.com will always strive to make it better on the water. All right, Captain Richard, let's head on down and get our offshore report from the day. Let's see what Captain Skipper Thierry's up to with Captain Mike's Deep Sea Fishing. See what Dauphin Island's got. What you been up to, Cap?
Just bringing her in. Another 12-hour today. 'Tis the season,
That's right, man. I know you guys have been had a couple of overnight trips on the weekend. What'd you guys get into? What'd you see out there?
Man, we ground out a little mess of tunas, a few smaller yellowfin, and a mess of blackfins, but it was the water's kind of green everywhere. Tons of bait, but it's a very mediocre tuna report right this minute. But it had some good luck with some deep water groupers, some yellow edge and tilefish and stuff, and then a little mess of scamps, and put together a decent trip. Just a little of this, little of that,
Yeah, for those yellowfins you called, what were your successful tactics?
Successful tactics were, I believe one was on a diamond jig and one was trolling.
Perfect.
So we got most of our blackfins that way. It was like I say, just a lot of time, a lot of jigging, and then you'd occasionally it snag one. It was just good enough.
Yeah, grinding.
Like you say. Do you guys ever do any chunking when you get out there? Or the sharks been too bad for that, or what's the scoop on chunking?
We do chunk. Man, it's rare that we don't have a trip where we don't troll, kite fish, live bait, chunk, live bait down deep. Pretty much they get the kitchen sink treatment.
Right.
Every trip. So.
Yeah, never know what they're going to be biting on for sure with those guys.
Or you get one way and then switch and get one, they catch on faster and faster, I think.
No doubt. How deep were you guys catching those yellow edge?
About 900 feet.
Phew, that's a long way down.
About 900. Yeah. Thank goodness for electricity.
No doubt.
I'm not cranking that.
No.
Oh, come on, man. Come on. Too comfy up. You too comfy in that wheelhouse up there, Skip. Come on, man.
No, I'm telling you, you get spoiled.
Uh-huh.
Get soft.
Captain Richard and I got to get out with you a couple weeks ago. We did some of the same stuff, not quite that deep. You know, we were kind of transversing that natural bottom in that 300-foot range, I believe. You were kind of walking me through kind of, I know you had some numbers that you liked out there that you had success with before, but we were kind of moving while we're fishing. Just kind of walk us through what your thought process was there and how you were able to do that and find fish, kind of walking down that natural bottom.
Sometimes you can kind of it depends on the current, but sometimes you can ease down there's a lot of ridges that run for miles if you kind of, if you'll watch, and you can just kind of, really slow. You go very fast, you'll have a big mess, as many people as we fish. But if you can ease along under half a knot or so, I just picture there being a little clump of rocks occasionally, and there'll be one or two fish, and then you move 50 foot and there's a little ledge and there's you catch a fish or two. But to me, rarely do you sit in one spot scamp fishing, like you're fishing a snapper spot or something, and there's 200 fish stacked up right on top of it. That's just not what I normally find when I fish natural bottom. There's just fish here, fish there kind of thing. I don't know if that's a good description, but
yeah, no, that makes
use your
sense.
Imagination a little bit.
No, that's a perfect way to look at it. And I tell you, it is all about getting your drift set up right, figuring out which way your current's going to push you across a certain area, and then also having a mental image in your head of what an area looks like on the bottom and whatnot.
Right.
So yeah, those are always the best days for me when I've gone offshore, is when you kind of got a fairly light current where you can fish a couple lines and just make a drift, you know what I mean? And you'll know when you get out of the fish, just turn back around, go back up and make another drift,
right.
And it seems like you're usually catching fish the whole way. Usually when I do one on my boat, I've always got, at least two electrics going with like deep, just your typical deep drop rigs and whatnot. When guys wear out those white snapper and beeliners on those, and then fishing a couple of your grouper rigs, and then having a guy or two throw a jig, which is about what we were doing when we went on our overnight.
Right.
And man, that just seems to be productive most of the time, hitting it from all angles.
Right. That's what we have to do. Like I said, it's the typical kitchen sink. If you go on the escape, we're gonna do a little bit of everything.
I like
it. Seems like, yeah,
definitely, man. We'll talk about fishing in that 900-foot range, like with those yellow edges. What's your favorite bait whenever you're going that deep?
Man, you just need something tough, preferably fresh, and we don't usually use any live bait that deep. I know that's kind of vague, but it doesn't seem to matter. Bonita,
something
just
tough
a
and
medium
stanky.
size, tough, stinky bait. It doesn't have to be anything pretty at all. I think they're excited when they see a light down there or smell something. Pretty much in complete darkness. It's
for sure.
It's a really funny fishery. It seems like it's feast or famine. You fish and fish and fish and finally hit one. After 10 blanks, you think you're going to get skunked, and it'll be pretty good. It's a neat kind of fishing. I've enjoyed starting on it really just the last couple of years. It's pretty new to me, but we've had some success.
So you think that putting lights on that deep, you think that makes a difference?
I think it has to. I do. Yes.
Gotta be pretty dark down
light
there
only
at
makes
900
it down
feet.
600 feet.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotta be
Right.
pretty dark at
Yeah.
900 feet.
Whenever I first got into, started doing a little researching and reading on sword fishing and whatnot, I think I read somewhere, probably Wikipedia or something, that like light only penetrates, I think it's 682 feet is what is what I read, so, and you got to figure that too. That's like in air clear, perfect conditions too, which we probably almost never have in 900 foot of water off the coast of Alabama. It's always a little bit dinged up one way or another. So it's probably more going only like 500 feet deep or so, So I would think lights definitely when you're going way deep like that have got to help out and got to do it. I'm sure smell alone has got to do is probably how those fish feed and stay alive most of the time. But man, could you imagine just living in the dark all day, every day, like it's never light out, huh?
I don't
Be
know.
pretty
I feel
weird.
that way sometimes. I don't know.
Amen.
Oh,
My wife would
man.
probably say the same about me for sure.
Right? He just walks around with his mouth open, you know?
Yeah, that's right. What's this guy doing? Well,
Mhm.
talking about going offshore, I know you guys got an offshore trip coming up. Where's blue water, man? I know it's been kind of weird. There's been some good stuff
Oh,
over to the
my
east.
gosh.
Where are y'all going? Like, what's your strategy?
I think tomorrow is just going to be go to the closer in rigs and grind it out and hopefully get a few. I have heard of a few nice fish this week, and then a little mess of black fins, and then just do more grouper fishing. The only blue water, the rip chart shot yesterday, man, it was way down past Devil's Tower, if you
Wow.
go southwest, and then over to the east, like around the spur and stuff was pretty, but didn't look blue. And I just haven't had any good reports. I don't mind going down to, Thunder Horse, Devil's Tower, any of that stuff, but not,
Got to have a good report to
not
go all
on
that way.
you got to have some pretty solid
Intel
or at least some pretty water.
for sure. Man.
I think we'd be better off just keeping a line in the water, do some sword fishing, at night, and maybe a drop or two during the day. Even just spend more time with a line in the water instead of riding right now.
Yep, definitely makes sense, man. Well, that's a great offshore report. I think that'll give our listeners kind of something to go off of. We appreciate you giving us the report. If folks want to get up with you guys and book a trip, what's the best way to get in contact with you?
Man, just give Iris a call at 251-861-5302. She keeps us all straight.
That's a fact. I definitely know that. We appreciate you. We always look forward to hearing from you, man. We look forward to hearing from you next time. You guys be safe out there, brother.
All right, guys. Thanks. Appreciate it.
All right, guys, that wraps up a great offshore report from Captain Skipper Thierry out of Dauphin Island, Alabama, with Captain Mike's Deep Sea Fishing. You guys take a quick minute, check out a few of this week's great sponsors. That segment was brought to you by MB Ranch King. MB Ranch King hunting blinds and feeders are built to last, right here in the USA. With durability and convenience in mind, MB Ranch King's maintenance-free blinds are constructed with high-grade steel and come in a variety of sizes to meet any hunter's needs. They offer high-quality, easy-to-use corn and protein feeders that can be filled with both feet on the ground. Call Kevin today for more info or a quote at 205-807-2937. MB Ranch King, built in the pursuit of perfection. And also brought to you by Dixie Supply and Baker Metalworks. Dixie Supply and Baker Metalworks are proud to be your metal roofing headquarters for over 40 years. Save time and money by buying from the most reliable manufacturer on the Gulf Coast. Buy it today, pick it up today. They offer 20 Sherwin-Williams colors to choose from and have a 40-year warranty. Baker Metal and Dixie Supply, two names, same great service. With the addition of their new store in Cantonment, Florida, they now have 8 locations to serve you. Dixie Supply and Baker Metalworks, your metal roofing headquarters.
All right, Butch. Well, we got to finish up our last segment here, man.
Oh,
What did you learn? You want to kick that off?
Yeah, man, I think, and I could be totally off base here. I think one thing that I kind of took away from all the reports was right now would be a real, like, fishing's good. Like, there's a lot of things to catch right now, but I think I would be most successful with kind of honing in on one species and not spreading myself too thin. Sometimes you can go out and you can target multiple species and have, good success. But I think right now I personally would, hone in on flounder if I was going on a trip inshore, or bull reds, or if I was going offshore, I'd want to hone in on grouper or something in particular and not trying to have too many things in the hopper and spread myself too thin. That makes sense?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yep. And I think you're right on with that, because just typically this time of year, you do have to deal with a lot of trash fish, offshore. Obviously you got the sharks and
dirty water right now. It sounds like
dirty,
a lot of dirty water.
and yep, and all that kind of stuff. So probably staying away from some of your more pelagic species and doing some bottom fishing and whatnot is probably the way to go. And then inshore, same thing. There's a whole lot going on, a whole lot of bait in the water. But of course that comes with jack crevalles and gaff tops and bluefish, Spanish mackerel, sharks again, So yeah, like you said, put your head down and go chase after one thing and be good at one thing versus trying to set the world on fire all at once. I think that's probably a really good recap of what we just listened to with everybody. Nobody's complaining about the fishing right now, but nobody's really jumping up and down about one species either. So seek and destroy. I think that's a great way to look at it.
Yep, I think so too, man. If you if you got a day inshore, you might as well delegate all your resources to that one fish, honing in on those triple tail or honing in on the flounder. I think that's definitely what I picked up from this week.
Heck yeah, them flounder at the top of my list, man. I tell you what, those flounder, those are such a cool fish, man. They're so much fun to catch.
Yeah, it's been cool seeing you getting fired up about them the last couple of years too.
I know, dude. I'm a hound for them, man. And I especially love like the close quarters kind of stuff. When we start fishing around docks and rocks and seawalls and all that kind of stuff. And I feel like I'm like, I feel like I'm Kevin Van Dam on front of the boat, like pitching these little. Pitching this jig head with a stinky piece of plastic on it, bumping it around. Oh, there he is.
And having success that way. That's cool.
Yeah, but to me, that's a lot of fun. It's just a ton of fun. And like I was kind of talking about with Tanner when he was breaking down slow pitch jigging, I just love tricking fish with a piece of plastic too. Like that's just something about it. It's just absolutely blows my skirt up. So.
Yep, whether it's inshore or offshore, I agree with that. That's definitely a fun thing to trick those fish into eating the artificials.
Yep.
All right, guys, that wraps up another great segment. Let's take a quick break and check out a few more of this week's great sponsors. That segment was brought to you by Test Calibration. Is your diesel engine showing signs of low pressure or excessive engine smoke? If so, you may be in need of a repair to your diesel fuel injection system. Test Calibration has been selling and servicing diesel turbochargers and fuel injection systems since 1976 and are up to date with all the latest diesel technology. No matter if you're running a diesel in your boat, tractor, or truck, Test Calibration can help you. Contact them at 800-822-0057 or visit them online at testcalibratondieselandturbo.com. And also brought to you by National Land Realty.
If you're in the market to sell your land, check out the fastest growing, most innovative land brokerage in the country. With the largest online presence in the industry, the bottom line is when you market your land through National Land Realty, the right buyers will know your land is for sale. Contact your Emerald Coast National Land agent. That's me, Joe Baya, at jbaya@nationalland.com, or call me at 850-296-7098.
All right, folks, that's going to wrap it up this week. You guys, please make sure and subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts. And don't forget to text the word fishing to 314-665-1767 to get that free AFCO sun protection mask promo code, and also to be added to our email list, and we'll send you the new show each week. You guys keep whacking them. Be safe out there. This week's Alabama Saltwater Fishing Report has been brought to you by Sam's Stop and Shop. Sam's Stop and Shop is your one-stop shop located at 27122 Canal Road in Orange Beach. Sam's has a little bit of everything, including a deli, inshore, offshore, and surf fishing tackle. They also have bait, clothing, groceries, name brand sunglasses, and so much more. Stop by and shop or call them at 251-981-4245 today. And also, Richardoni Family Dentistry. You're going to need a good dentist, so you may as well make an appointment with fellow angler Josh Richardoni. Call today to book an appointment at 251-342-6672. Also brought to you by Foster Contracting, Fortified Roofing Pros. Did you know you could save up to 40% on your homeowner's insurance with a fortified roof? Learn more at fortifiedroofingpros.com or call them at 251-973-9999. And also brought to you by L&M Marine. L&M Marine has something for everyone, from small hunting boats, pontoons, as well as bigger bay hybrid boats for the hardcore angler. Go visit them at 34600 Highway 59 in Stapleton, Alabama, or call 251-937-1380. And also brought to you by Admiral Shellfish. Admiral oysters are available by the dozen at Bon Secours Fisheries, Inc. in Bon Secours, Alabama. From a simple, nutrient-dense appetizer at home or a shucking party with friends, Admiral oysters will steal the show. Call 251-949-7411 for pricing and availability. Follow their adventures on Instagram at Admiral Shellfish Co. And also, AFTCO. Family-owned and operated AFTCO fishing apparel and tackle are designed to handle the harshest elements and help you weather any day on the water. From cold tournament mornings to the humid summers of Florida, visit aftco.com. That's AFTCO.com for on-the-water performance gear. And also, Photonis Defense, simply the best in-class night vision systems ever built. Contact them at photonisdefense.com to learn more. Photonis Defense, Masters of Darkness. And also brought to you by United Bank. United Bank supports our farmers with financial products and services designed specifically for agribusiness. All loans subject to credit approval, equal housing opportunity lender, member FDIC. And also brought to you by The Alabama Marine Resources Division. The Alabama Marine Resources Division reminds all recreational anglers that gray triggerfish, greater amberjack, or red snapper must be reported through Snapper Check prior to landing the fish in Alabama. For more information about Snapper Check, please visit outdooralabama.com.